Hi friends, Bethany here with Crafty with Bethany, and today I'm going to set my goals for 2025, but first we're going to go over the goals that I had set for 2024. Now, if you've been following me along on Instagram, you've seen that my year of 2024 has thrown me some curveballs, and I've been pretty transparent about those. So some of these goals I did hit, and some of these goals I did not, and some of that just came from the unknown, right? The things that I did not see coming, and there were a few. But I think it definitely plays into my word of the year. My word of the year for 2024 was leap, and I definitely took some pretty big leaps. We'll talk about those. But I thought I'd take a minute to go over the goals, what's changed, and where I landed at the end of the year. And at the end of the day, like, these are things that a year ago me thought I could accomplish in the year, and had those things that I didn't see coming not happen, probably could have done all of these things. But that doesn't mean that I failed because I didn't do all of these things. It just means that some things happen that I could not have foreseen happening that definitely impacted my trajectory to accomplish these things, but also my path changed, meaning that wasn't the path I wanted to be on anymore, or I needed to take a break from it, or something else was pulling at my attention more that needed my attention more. And because of that, unforeseen situations, these things kind of didn't happen. And these are goals for me personally. These are not my work related goals that I set for my job or anything like that. These were just for me. So this year I'm going to do something a little different and set some different goals, but let's go through the ones from 2024 and see what happened. Okay. All right. So right off the bat, release originally said 6. Then I crossed it out and put 3 garment patterns because I realized 6 was pretty lofty because of how much time it takes to do them. I released one at the end of last year, December, and none this year. That partnership that I had kind of fell off a little bit, and that process was taking way longer than I had the time to spend on it. Do I still want to make garment patterns? Absolutely, but I did not have as much time as was required with the process that I have in place or had in place to make those continue to happen. Like, I just did not have the bandwidth. So, truth be told, I didn't release any new garment patterns. Do I have several sitting in my drafts? Yes, I do. And if someone would like to partner with me to help me make those come to fruition, I would love to have a conversation. So please send me a DM over on Instagram or email me, Bethany@craftwithbethany.com, because I have some great patterns that I want to release, and I need to get a partner that is going to help me make that happen. And I can't do the whole process. I just don't have the bandwidth to. But I think they're fantastic, and I can do quite a bit of the process. So I'd like to make these things happen. All right. Release 6 YouTube tutorials. I've definitely released more than 6. I definitely said if I can do 6 in a year, that would be great. I didn't do so great at the first half of the year. Some things pivoted mid-year where our podcast just ended abruptly without warning. And that freed up some time for me to make some more videos. And I started releasing videos weekly. And I was doing that really well for several months. I did take pretty much November off because I had another big life change of jobs, and so that took a lot of my time and energy to get into a new routine, which I'm grateful for, and now I'm back to creating those videos again. But I definitely reached more than 6. Exactly how many? I don't know. You have to go back and watch my videos and maybe count for me and let me know how many I've done this year. I forget. And that's not shorts, just the long form video. So that was I hit that goal. Attend 1 sewing retreat and 2 expos. I'd say I did. I actually taught at a sewing retreat in October, and I did attend a couple of expos, one of which was supposed to happen in the end of August in Tennessee. And, well, if you know what happened to Sew Magical Expo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope a lot of you who had paid to go to that got your money back. I did not, an amount about $500 for classes I never got to participate in or attend. Really disappointed in that, because normally when I go to expos, I'm teaching at them or I'm just there to like shop and I don't do the classes. This time I was like, you know what? Instead of spending money shopping all of this stuff that I may never get a chance to sew up, I'm actually going to attend a class and learn some things, because they were like bag making projects. And then none of it happened and I was out all that money. So lesson learned on me, right? But I did hit that goal. So that was good. And I like to set this as a goal because I think it's really important to continue to put myself out there and experience new things. One of the expos that I ended up attending was the quilt market in Houston, Texas, back in October. And that was a life-altering expo. Man, I hustled my butt off. Marketed myself as Crafty Bethany, the sewing help hotline, created some amazing brand connections while I was there, and landed myself a new job. So yeah, that was a great expo for me. All right, grow my YouTube and Instagram to 10K. We only crossed out YouTube because we hit 12K on YouTube this year. So that I'm very, very proud of. And that is all thanks to you guys watching. And I appreciate that so much. Instagram is a slow burn. Some people really take off with it and they get a lot of followers from 1 or 2 reels. For me, that's not been the case, and that's okay. And I'm not upset about that. I actually, I'm about 5,600 followers on Instagram, but I will say I have a very engaged following. I have other accounts that I manage and even business accounts that I help manage on Instagram, and they have way more followers than I do. And they just get very little views like in their stories. And I'm over here with like a large percentage of my following views my stories. And so I'm really loving my Instagram community. I'd love to see it continue to grow. So if you follow me on Instagram, please share my account so that other people can join us. If you're not following and you're watching here on YouTube, go follow me on Instagram, because I share a lot more behind the scenes and day to day over there in my stories and funny reels and things like that. But I try to share some information along the way. But so I guess for me, my goal for next year is going to be to actually hit 10K on Instagram. What should my goal be for YouTube? I have to figure that out. The last one here was just kind of a personal. I was really intimidated to make a swimsuit. Sewing with swim fabric can be very challenging. Sewing with swim and elastic can be challenging. And I challenged myself to do it because I was going on a girls' trip last spring to the beach, and I wanted to make a swimsuit. And I did. And it's probably my favorite swimsuit I've ever made and ever worn, better than anything I purchased to take with me. So I made one, and then I purchased a few and ended up wearing the one I made the most because it fit me the best, because I made it to fit me. Like, it's just... sometimes you just got to force yourself to overcome the scary. And yes, even I have things that intimidate me when it comes to sewing. And that was definitely one of them. But now I feel a little more confident, and that was a great one. Cross that off. So really, I did most of these except for hit 10K on Instagram and release some garment patterns. I did, however, release some project patterns over on my website, craftybethany.com. So I did release some patterns. They just weren't garment patterns. And you can find some free patterns over on my website as well. So yeah, I did some. Now, my word of the year for 2024 was leap. I took a big leap of faith when... in the summer of this past year, when I decided to leave my dream job at Singer. That was really hard and really scary because I loved my job. I had it for over 3 years, and I love the people I work with. I've never felt like I didn't belong there, but I felt like my time had come to an end after those 3 years because I didn't see an opportunity to grow, nor had I had a pay raise in 3 years. And I had a son going off to college in just a couple of months, and I was really overwhelmed by that. As a single mom, I'm trying to help him pay for it as much as possible, and that's really challenging. That's very challenging and overwhelming. So I was presented with an opportunity to go work for another fabric company and here in Tennessee, and unfortunately, that didn't work out. I took another big leap and went to join them. I feel like I was fed information that would lead me to join them. And then that didn't end up being the reality of the situation. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And I knew within the first week that I had made a mistake trusting people that I shouldn't have trusted. I was really upset about that, but I didn't burn a bridge with Singer. I still do stuff with Singer. I love Singer and Viking and Pfaff and the whole SVP family. And I love still doing their HSN shows and all of that. But I was really upset that I left to go work for this other company that ended up really hurting me a lot. And that created a lot of additional stress this last quarter of the year that was unnecessary. And I've just never been so mistreated by an employer and lied to so much. But it is what it is. And I learned a lot from that. And when I went to the Houston quilt market, one of my biggest goals there was to just build my relationship so I could put myself in a position to be able to walk away from that, because I could not have a paycheck. I have a son in college that I'm paying for. And so the very next day after quilt market, I had a meeting with the owners and CEO of Caterpillar, and they hired me on the spot. It's something to be said when people, when they first meet you, immediately see and appreciate your value, your knowledge, your experience. And I had that happen with a couple of people at Quilt Market, not just Caterpillar. Lori with Poppy Cotton pulled me aside, and we had an impromptu lunch one day at Quilt Market, and I had one of the best conversations I've ever had. And I felt seen for the first time in a long time. I felt valued for my experience and knowledge. I felt like I had potential that I thought I knew was there, but for someone else to see it that barely even knew me, but they could see it, really was validating to me and encouraging me. And so that's what gave me the confidence to be able to walk away from that horrible job situation and land where I feel like I'm supposed to be with Caterpillar. And we've got some big things planned for 2025 over there. And I love that I could get to continue to work in this sewing and crafting industry, because it is my passion and my hobby. And it's truly a blessing to be able to make that your career. And I am so grateful for that, and I do not take it for granted. So with all of that being said, and kind of a recap of some of the big hurdles that I had to take some big leaps of faith on, some landed and some did not. Because of all of that, I have found myself where I feel like I'm supposed to be. And sometimes the journey to get there is a little bumpy. 2024 was pretty bumpy. I lost a friendship that unexpectedly when they just ghosted me. And it's been, 5 months since then, and I still haven't heard anything. And it's really heartbreaking. And I try not to give it the energy that it doesn't deserve, but it's really hard not to, because I'm still very much hurt by the situation. And losing the podcast, something I was really passionate and loved doing. And maybe I'll pick it up next year. It's not a goal of mine, but we'll see. I think if the opportunity presents itself, then I might. And that's going to lead me into setting my goals for 2025, because here I set goals like, oh, this would be great to do. This would be with the mindset of January of 2024, Bethany. Now that I've come through this year and seen what I've done, what's happened, and where I've landed, I also have to remember that when I'm setting goals, I have to leave room for the unexpected, the unknown, things we cannot forecast, and give myself some grace. So let's set some goals for 2025 and our new word of the year. So let me figure those out and we'll go through them. Okay, I wrote a lot up on this board and we're going to go through it real quick. My 2025 goals. Instagram, I'm going to hit 10K on Instagram this year. Um, that's my goal. I'm sitting at like 5,600, so I'm almost doubling my Instagram. So, again, if you support me here on YouTube, I'd love for you to give me a follow over on Instagram. My YouTube goal is 25K. 25,000 subscribers. I am sitting at 12,000 right now. So that is doubling my YouTube subscription. Again, pretty big goal. I did it last year. I more than doubled it last year. I think I can do it, but I got to be consistent with my work, and that'll lead to some other things on here. I want to teach at 4 retreats. I currently have 3 on the books. I'd love to add a 4th if possible. Actually, I have 4 on the books. Maybe I should change that to 5. I may change that one. I forgot about one. So 4 retreats and 2 expos. Whether I attend or shop or um, teach or take a class or whatever, I'd love to go to at least 2 expos. 5 new brand deals, whether that's a guest blog spot or an actual product sponsorship or paid content. I'd love to do more brand deals with brands that I love and already use. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute with some of my words over here. But I'm finding my courage and to send out those emails and make those connections and have those conversations. And I really found it at the Houston Quilt Market when I felt like I had no other option and I just hustled my butt off. And now it's about the follow up. It's about reaching out to other companies. It's being not afraid to ask. Worst they can say is no, and you're right where you were, but they could say yes, or they could say maybe this instead, and it could open up some pretty cool doors. And I've already seen that happen. I want to keep on with that trajectory and keep making those things happen. So I think 5 brand deals is totally doable. Um, I want to hit 2,000 emails in my newsletter email campaign. So I have an email that goes out usually about once a week at the most. Sometimes I'm only doing it once every 2 weeks because I forget. But over on my website, craftwithbethany.com, I have a newsletter. And it basically just lets you know when I've released a new video, have a new free project, new blog posts with educational support, new brand partnerships that might benefit you with some discounts or whatever. So if you're not a part of my newsletter, highly recommend it. I do not bombard you, and I do not share your emails with anybody else. So just between me and you. Um, the last one is 12 free projects and 6 paid projects on my website. So that means I want to release 1 free project for you every month, and about every other month, 6 projects that are more advanced and more involved and take a lot more work on my end. And those are going to be paid for projects. So that's my goal over there. I've only got, I think, 1 paid for project on my website right now. The rest of them are free. I do a lot of free projects for you guys. I like making projects, and I just some of them I just release here on YouTube as a video tutorial. Some of them I have written out instructions on my website that you can download. Some I have both, but the paid for ones are going to be more advanced projects that I want to do with you. So those are my goals. And I want to point out one thing. Every single one of these goals has a number associated with it. 10K, 25K, 4 retreats, 2 expos, 5 brand deals, 2,000 emails, 12 free projects, 6 paid projects. There are like numerical ways to track what I'm doing. So what I do is I actually take these and I put them in a spreadsheet and I keep track of it. I get a little more detail, but I have it here visually just as a reminder so I don't forget. Now, some of these may change because my goals may change or my focus may change or things may happen in my life that cause me to shift gears, and that's okay. But this is where we're starting out, okay? Word of the year. Word of the year this year was a hard one for me to figure out. I originally was thinking the word trust, and I thought that that word was coming from a place where I thought I could trust someone this past year and they royally let me down and screwed me over. Um, and I thought, I don't really want a word for the new year that has anything to do with the negativity from the previous year. Do I need to work on my ability to trust people? I don't think so, because at the end of the day, I trust you until you give me a reason not to. And sometimes I don't see that coming. Maybe that's my flaw, but I'd rather give people the benefit of the doubt and then let them show their true colors. Sometimes that hurts me, but then I know where I stand. So one thing I decided to do was not put trust as my main word of the year. So I changed it to determination. I am determined to build myself as a brand this year. I'm determined to become a household name for the sewing and crafting community. I'm determined to become a resource for education and support for you and your craft. I feel like I have a lot to share. I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and I don't want to keep that to myself. I want to share it with all of you so that you all can be better at your sewing and crafting. But I did decide this year, I didn't do this last year, to write some additional words that I feel like encompass me getting into that determination and staying focused. And that was one of them: focus, courage, having the courage to send those emails, make those connections, talk to those people that I fangirl over, right? And say, hey, how can we work together? You know, you got here, that's where I want to be. Let's do this together. Having faith in myself that I can do these things and not second guess myself. Um, I did put trust on here. I need to trust in myself. I need to trust that I have the abilities to accomplish these goals and do bigger things. Freedom is what I want to gain from this. I want to gain financial freedom. I want to gain freedom and control over my life and my schedule. I want to be able to have the freedom to travel and do what I want to do. I'm 40 now. I feel like I'm finally starting to figure out who I want to be when I grow up. And having that sense of freedom that comes along with that is really powerful. And I can't say I've ever had that. So that's a big goal for me. And permission. I'm giving myself permission to do whatever it is I need to do. If it means I need to not work one day and actually sit down and relax and watch a movie and spend time with my family, I need to do that and not feel guilty about it. If I need to give myself permission to rest, if I need to give myself permission to take a weekend off and go somewhere, if it means I need to give my self permission to fail, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna make mistakes, but it's okay. That's how we learn. Um, so those are the words, but ultimately the key word is I am determined. All of these things are going to lead to the determination for me to finish this new year strong, hitting these goals. I'm determined to hit these goals, and I'm not going to lose sight of that. There's some things else that I'd love to put on there, like releasing some garment patterns and things like that. And maybe that is part of what these paid projects are. I don't know yet. But until I have a partnership that can help me facilitate that coming to fruition, I don't really want to put it up here. But I can do more if I need to. But I always start with 5. I always start with 5 goals. I can change them if I need to. That's a great thing about dry eraser and, you know, the magic eraser. I can erase this and start over if I want. But that is what I've come up with this year. I really encourage you to do the same. I don't want you to just write them down in a journal. I want you to stick them on your mirror, put it on a whiteboard, somewhere where you're going to see it on a regular basis. This is right next to my desk where I sit every single day and do computer work, or I'm in my sewing room, which is right here behind the camera. And so it's always within visibility. I go in and out this door that's right here to get to my car. So I literally see it every day. Now, this little bit down here at the bottom, that is something my son wrote and says, "You got this." And then a little paw print with Biscuit's name as well. He wrote that on there last year when I was going through some hard stuff. Career changes, loss of friendship, loss of the podcast, loss of my son going off to college. It's been a really tough year. Turning 40, him turning 18. It's been a lot in 2024. It was a big year for us. He graduated high school, some big milestones. And he wrote that on there one day without me knowing, and I just can't erase it because that's the one thing I probably look at the most. He's my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader. He's seen my highest highs and my lowest lows, and he's been my rock the whole way through. And as a single mom, he's my most prized possession. And I know that sounds weird to say, but he's the one thing I could never take for granted. he is my everything. He is the reason I work so hard and do all these things and have the determination to make our lives better. It's for him, not just me. Um, and to have his support and a reminder every single day means more than he'll ever know. So I hope you have someone in your life that supports you like that. If not, I'm here for you. I want to support you. Um, we're going to make some big things happen in 2025. And let's just hope this year's a little less bumpy than last year, at least for me. Um, but I know I have the right people in my circle. And I'm just grateful that you're here along for the ride. I hope you don't mind me sharing some of this and being a little vulnerable with you. I feel like it's just part of that growth that we are going to experience in our lives. And in order to have those growth moments and make these goals happen, I got to be vulnerable and plan on doing more of that this year. So I hope you stick around. Thanks for watching. Set some goals for the year, whether it's sewing related, crafting related, business related, personally, whatever you want to do. And let's hold each other accountable. All right. Bye, guys.